The outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly, Miller's still start dropping. He's not on second and
Hello everybody and welcome to the Sim Racing Revival Sports Car Championship here from Brands Hatch. It's time for round 4 as we head to the midpoint in our season. We're on board with these fantastic machines going round what is going to be a very, very difficult racetrack indeed in cars like these. So little room for error, grass lining the circuit all around. The walls are there to collect you as well in cars that are not easy to keep on the road. Wherever you're driving them, it is myself, Ewan, and James Parfitt here with you for 50 laps of racing by the time we get to it here tonight after the qualifying session we're currently in and the warm-up session which will be beginning in a few moments time as well. It's good to be along for the first time for me, James, in this series, and good to be alongside you for this. These cars look spectacular, sound spectacular. I can imagine, though, they are an ordeal to drive around a twisty circuit. I mean, it's always one of those circuits in any car that we talk about being a high-risk circuit in terms of going off the road and crashing. Well, you can only step that up another level in these cars. So difficult normally, that will just be amplified around this circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. These cars, I've watched them now for 3 rounds, Mosport, Brianza and Daytona, and they are challenging. They are very, very challenging. There's a lot of sideways sliding. There's a lot of fighting in the car. They are doing a lot of work, these drivers, and they've got to. As you can see, even just going down Dingle Dell, it is a tough challenge to try and get these cars to go around the corners without wanting the back end to come out completely the opposite way. So there's a lot that's going to be involved with these tonight. There's a lot of things that they're going to have to try and get used to. These cars are tough, but I think these guys will be able to manage it quite happily.
Let's hope so, as we are riding on board with Rolf Gerber here in the final couple of corners, although the checkered flag is out on that qualifying session, so the grid order is set for the race. We're about to get into warm-up and the build-up, of course, to this race. So let's have a look at the current championship standings. So we're looking after a few rounds, and there's only 2 drivers who have scored points in every round so far this season. The first of those is, of course, leading the championship entirely, Oliver Day, who has scored 50 points so far from 3 rounds. Of course, with the 1 drop week taken into account, that's a total of 40 so far this season. 8 points back to Risto Corpi in second place. Becky Ely wasn't at Daytona either, neither was Risto Corpi, but Becky Ely wasn't at Daytona either. She's on 30 points. Thomas Russia is the only other driver other than Oliver Day to have scored points in every round so far. And his drop round had pegged him back a little bit to 23 points. Vito Martino is on 18 points in 5th place. Yuki Takanashi is next, despite only being at 1 of the rounds so far. That was at Mosport, where he finished in 3rd. Then Andy Schremser is 7th. DNF'd at Daytona, but has scored points on every other round, so has got 12 points. Rolf Gerber and Johan Neuenhoff have both got 10 points, and then Filippo Marazzi has got 8 points to his name after a result at Daytona. So that is how we're looking at the moment in terms of the championship standings. and the drop week helping to keep things a bit closer than it otherwise be. If it was down to usual points, Oliver Day would already have 18 points after only 3 rounds, but the drop week has helped Risto Corpi stay in touch, and that's a good thing because they're both in this race, and you can imagine that they will both be challenging one another throughout the rest of the season, maybe challenging each other for that title at the end of the season as well.
Yeah, I think it's kind of edging towards a 2-horse race. It's kind of getting that way, and we talk about how obviously championships can be that way when obviously drivers are in and out and things like that, and the summer really reinforces the driver drop because obviously people go away, people's rigs are up in the loft, and they don't want to be there, and they just get hot and stuff like that, so they literally just don't turn up. But I think it's more looking and emphasized in this because the people who you would necessarily say would be there, and that is literally the likes of Becky Ely, Yuki Takanashi, all of these drivers that can challenge up the front, they're not here either. So it's going to be even kind of almost easier for Oliver Day and Risto Corpi to get to that leading position on the grid. Oliver Day was the fastest in the practice session that we just, I caught the end of. So it is looking like a 2-horse race, but again, anything can happen, and these cars are so unpredictable. There's a lot to them. There's a lot involved with them. There's a lot of driving that these guys have got to do. So who knows how this one will turn out, but we are 3 minutes into the warm-up.
Wait, 2 minutes in, 3 minutes to go.
Yeah, that's the one.
It's fine. Warm-up's still ongoing. While we're here, by the way, let's have a look at the schedule for the season as well. As we've mentioned, we've already done Mosport, Brianza and Daytona. Now it's time for August, where we'll be going to Parfitt and Spa. It's an interesting schedule in terms of maybe not necessarily some of the venues. I mean, we'll be very familiar with all but a few. I think Brianza being one of them for the second round. However, I think it's the actual layouts themselves and the actual makeup of the circuits themselves, because these are not the modern versions of Brands Hatch, for example, of Daytona, for example. These are a little bit retro versions, and there are some minor changes. I mean, Brands Hatch hasn't really changed, which is a testament to its circuit. There are a few minor changes. I'm sure you'll go to play spot the difference at home, but other than that, there isn't very much at all. And that means that some interesting challenges for the drivers and teams this time. It means there's some quite retro advertising going on around the outside of the circuit, which I'm quite enjoying. But I mean, I'm not entirely sure how much material difference this will actually make to the drivers or not, because after all, the only things that are really different about this circuit, you've got a bridge over the pit lane exit there. The advertising's a bit different. The tarmac is there on the outside of turn number 1, and I've noticed the entry to what is Westfield Bend on today's circuit is a little bit less sharp than it is these days. So other than that, there's not much change. I don't know if it will actually make much difference to these drivers actually in the field.
No, I don't think so. I'd be interested to see what the version of Spa they go to, because given or take around when these cars were obviously out racing, you're looking mid-70s era, the circuit of Spa was actually 14 kilometers long. Apart from El Rouge and Radion, where you would normally turn right into Lacombe, you would actually turn left there and go all the way, running all the way round this long sort of oval-esque corners, through Malmedy, which is a long right-hander, and all the way down the Master Straight. So I'm going to be interested to see if they go with the 71 to 78 version, or if they jump into the new layout of 7980, which is as it currently is and hasn't changed for all of that period of time. I'm hoping they go 71, 78. I've got to be honest, I would love that to run the 71, 78 layout, and it would be absolutely amazing. So that's my dream. If anybody, if you're listening, Mateus, and you want to please me in any way, please put yourselves on the on the 71 to 78 layout, the 14 kilometer layout, because that would be absolutely incredible.
That would be great, but it probably pretty strenuous on the mechanics of the game and the computers of those who are racing and competing. So let's see if we get that indeed. But it would be fantastic of that 14.1 kilometre circuit. It's a testament really again to that circuit that really the first corner in Omus and Radion have remained really even in those days. And it goes back to those days, doesn't it, when corner names wouldn't be just named after random things or people as they are these days. Corner names after the town they were going through, because circuits were so big they would go through multiple villages. You mentioned Malbody and Stavelo there. They're corner names, of course, on the most recent Spa circuit, but they are towns and villages, really, aren't they? They're not towns that they used to drive through. So there you are. Anyway, let's stop wondering about next week or next round and start wondering about this one, because it's time for the race. It's the Sim Racing Revival Sports Car Championship 4th round here from Brands Hatch. And I believe the drivers are going to be getting on the grid. Here they are. Rusto Corpi takes pole ahead of Andriy Tremsa, ahead of Oliver Day, and then Thomas Rosser rounding out the first 2 rows. They're getting onto the grid very quickly as well, slightly concerningly. Michael Stoy and Matthias Bogle are on the 3rd row together, with Giuseppe Pastore and Rolf Gerber on the 4th row as they get underway for their formation lap. It's Michi Husselt and Ralph Becker rounding out the top 10, with Urs Schukamp and Vito Martino rounding out the 12 drivers in the field. And I believe it is a 12-car field here today, based on what we've seen in qualifying. So that's the order. Interesting, the championship leader, Oliver Day, has lost quite some time in that qualifying session to Risto Corpi, who's taken pole here, and will look to try and take some points back from Oliver Day, who, as of yet, has not had a worse finish this season than 4th place. So he's had a strong season, but Risto Corpi will look to close in on that margin now, maybe repeat his victory that he managed to get at Mosport quite a few weeks ago now.
Yeah, it's a long time between races, so these guys have had to kind of hang on a little bit to see, and it takes a little bit of a while to get there. But I think I can't really sit here and count Ollie Day out. And we've seen him over the last 2 rounds, and he's wrapped up 2 wins out of 2 at Brianza and Daytona, and he is looking mighty quick. I've got to be honest, he is looking absolutely stormingly quick. But Risto Corpi's no slouch, so I think this could be fireworks if these guys get together. And of course, we're not counting out Andy Schempzer, but obviously, he's had a 7th, a 5th, and a DNF, so his consistency not quite there with Corpi and Ollie Day.
Exactly. This could be a bit tricky, but let's see as we get into the final corner and get these drivers on the grid. Set of 50 laps for us. These races are meant to be around 70-75 minutes. I think we're going to be at the lower end of that because of the likes of Risto Corpi and the pace that he was setting in qualifying. I know they won't quite be going as quick, but if he continues at that pace, he'll be done in half an hour. That's a bit of a lie, but you get what I mean. He's going very, very quickly indeed. So let's see just what happens throughout this race. Was qualifying very, very different to racing action in itself.
Oh, there's an engine blow at the back.
I thought that was just smoke from the tyres. Oh dear.
That is Ralph Becker.
13 Ferrari of Ralph Becker has gone off onto the grass, and he's blown his engine on the formation lap. Now he needs to get himself into, he's got himself into the grid box, but this could be a real problem for the last car on the grid, which will be getting unfortunately blocked here. Meanwhile, the lights come on, and we're underway for round 4 here at Brands Hatch, as the sloping start finish straight provides some real problems getting the cars underway. Risto Corpi takes the lead from turn 1 as they get through on cold tyres for the very first time. Side by side for 3rd place as Oliver Day tries to hang on to this podium place and hang on to his qualifying position from the number 4 Porsche of Thomas Rosser. He's just about managed it as Oliver Day, as we ride on board with him here. The guys get single file in their qualifying positions. Basically, unfortunate disaster on the start with that engine blowout, but it just shows how easy it is to achieve that.
Yeah, absolutely. That was just coming literally into the grid positions, and unfortunately it all just went poof for him, and that's it for Ralph Becker. DNF didn't even go anywhere. Set up for the whole time, practiced there the whole time, qualified for the whole time, and poof, he didn't even get off the line. So unfortunately, but you can see the same sloping start that you would get at Daytona. Of course, the same problem out here at Brands, that these cars put the power down, and you saw what Risto Corby did off the line. He was absolutely sideways trying to hold on to that car.
It was. That's what you get in these types of cars. Corby weaves around a little bit on this short straight towards the final corner, just to try and break that slipstream, maybe just a little bit. Through the final corner, it's really dicing with Def on the outside there, because you're so close to the grass, which will pull you in and straight into the barrier on the left-hand side as well. Through the opening of the 50 laps then, Risto Corby hangs on to the lead, and now he's going to look to try and hold this advantage all the way home, because he was strong in qualifying. He'll look to use some of that pace now to try and stretch a bit of a margin over those in behind over these next few laps especially.
Yeah, well, he's got his work cut out here. He's got to try and drop Thomas Rosa if he can and close into Schrempf. So there's a little bits of action back with Giuseppe Pastore. Currently at the moment here, he is chasing down Michael Stoyer, and also he's got Ralph Gerber behind him, but they've also got Matthias Bogle in front of that. And I love the fact that Matthias is trying to escape, but he's being chased by Stoyer. Stoyer's not letting him go here. He's giving him a whole load of grief. And can you imagine sitting in that car with a big, massive exhaust? Oh, that's Giuseppe Pastore off the side of the circuit.
As he was trying to push for 5th and 6th position, he's just got it wrong slightly, and here he goes as Rob Gover tried to get straight through on him there. It's not going to last very long as Pastore gets back down the inside again and straight back through to 7th position. So he recovers from that mistake pretty well in the end, but he would have rather not gone off the road in its entirety. That's the first warning sign we've had, really. We got through the opening lap quite nicely, other than the engine blowout for Becker, but that's the first real incident of off-track excursion for Giuseppe Pastore. And thankfully, he's stayed at the wall and recovered quite well.
Yeah, there's a couple of others that have gone off as well. Euroshokamp has one of them that's taken a trip off the side of the circuit, and it looks like Mickey Hauschlit has also been off at some point as well. But I think it's going to be tough. I don't expect that to be the last of it. I've got to be honest. These cars are so difficult to drive. There's a lot that goes into them as well, and I think the modding crew have done a great job with them, but they're just so tough. It's a fight all the while here, a constant fight with these cars. And lap 3, they've got 47 laps to go, and that's 47 laps of muscle wrenching, aching, as they can see each other on the race. You can see there with Thomas Rosa, he's just trying so hard to get this done.
I mean, I hope his seating position isn't quite like this, because I can barely see over the steering wheel and the cockpit here. Look at that. Well, especially when the car's lifting up under power, it's very difficult to see where you're going, but never great in a car, but there you go. That's what you're getting. Look, you can barely see the road in front of him here as they make their way towards the final corner. I think what also is going to be the problem, well, two things are actually. First of all, it's a little bit like a shock compared to what you're used to. So I can imagine now, I mean, many of these drivers will have driven these cars plenty of times now and might be getting used to it a little bit more, but they'll still remain very difficult in my mind, because you're not used to driving these cars very often. They're not around much in sim racing to us. This era of car, this difficulty of car, think about the modern era of the most popular car categories, if you like. GT3 has been the most popular car category for sports cars anyway for the last decade or so. Look how much easier they are to drive than these, so it's a real shock to the system to suddenly be driving cars of such great difficulty in obviously an era which is more than around half a century on from this. So it is very tricky to get used to, but you can imagine these drivers will have been doing a lot of driving with it here, and because of that difficulty, I think overtaking is going to be quite hard to come by. Brands Hatch is not a known circuit for circuit of great overtaking opportunity anyway, and when you're already struggling to keep your own car on the road, it's going to be even more difficult to actually pass one.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Ralph Becker in YouTube chat. My engine exploded. Yes, Ralph, we saw that as well. Ollie Kajanla is in YouTube as well. Go Risto, Tyler Ruelas. Good evening. I would not do well with this car. I would be struggling like I did with the Gem 4s yesterday, says Tyler Ruelas. Which, of course, he did have a bit of a mare last night at Daytona in the in another league that we do. So, unfortunately for Tyler Ruelas, it didn't go well.
You remember me getting taken out about this time last year in a race exactly similar to that? In fact, it was exactly that race, but last year. Do you remember?
Yes, I do remember. There's also on that one as well. It was a bit of a rough one for a few people in that Gen 4 going round Daytona. It wasn't as easy as it was depicted. I know they were moaning about setups and stuff like that, but you know, look, hey, that's the modern day NASCAR, or a version of it. And now we're back to the 70s sports cars here as well, with Ollie Day chasing chase down Andy Schrimpser. Dropped Thomas Rosa a little bit here, which is great to see, and I think now they're just starting to close in on each other and see how they go. They are going to be able to try and fight and close in, but he's got to be how he's going to overtake. Holiday is swift, and when this car gets on it, this car gets on it.
I think it's partly down to the fact that he's got that little bit less pressure. We're also right behind him now, and so Day is able to just settle in here a little bit and go a little bit quicker. He's continuing to go faster and faster with each lap now, and he will of course be motivated by keeping his championship lead. It's, as we said at the start, increasingly becoming a two-horse race. Just 8 points between these two at the start. If it were to end right now, this race, there would be absolutely level on points going into the 5th round of the championship at Spa. So we are seeing a quite remarkable situation here, but Oliver Day, I'm sure, would rather keep his championship leading position, and he needs to do that by passing Schrimpser. But we're about to see here just how difficult a pass is actually going to be to execute. We've not really seen anybody have a chance so far. Can Day be the first one to actually make a move on the circuit? Here we go.
Well, we're going to find out. He's heading down Pilgrim's Drop now. Yes, it was Charlotte. My bad, Tyler. It was Charlotte, not Daytona. Oliver Day's got to be looking at the inside. Surely he's not going to take it there. You're not going to be able to do it through Hawthorne. It's going to be very, very tough. He's going to have to try and wait till probably all the way out of Dingledale Corner and through Sterling's before he can remotely get this job. And you can see in front, Schrimpser carried so much more speed through Dingledale. He's already opened up that gap again. Okay, well,
there you have it.
There you go, that kills that one. Ollie Day did it on track.
That's exactly, though, where most of these overtakes are going to come from, in my mind. Andy Schrimpser there getting put under pressure by Oliver Day. And, you know, you've got to give some credit to the passing car for when a defending driver makes a mistake, I think, because you are the one right there putting the pressure on. And that requires speed, it requires car placement as well, and so Day does deserve a bit of credit, but Schrimpser will certainly put the blame on himself, I think, for that overtake, as he went a little bit wide over the top of the hill at Dingledale.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's the thing. You've got to be on the track, right, to pick up on the mistakes in front. The question is now, can Schrimpser keep up with Ollie Day? The gap's out at 1.1. I don't know, because I think Ollie Day is going to get stronger and stronger for the next 43 laps. And I wouldn't be surprised if that gap to Risto Corby has already dropped to 4.5, 4.6. Is Risto even going around? Yeah, he's still on the racetrack. I was going to say it was coming down very quickly then. So I wouldn't be surprised if this gap does come down a lot more. And I could necessarily, depending on how Ollie Day gets on, could see him battling with Risto Corby by the end here.
So what do you think is the reason for all of this? Because what we saw in qualifying was Corby way quicker than the rest, and Day was not only slower than Corby, but actually not even second quickest in qualifying, and he had a bit of a battle on at the start to even hang on to 3rd place. So where has he found all this speed from currently? Is he just getting comfortable with it? Is this a common theme and a thread we've seen throughout the season so far, that he's maybe not done so well in qualifying, but over the course of a long race, which this is going to be, over an hour's in length, is he just getting more comfortable here and finding his speed now finally? Yeah,
that is exactly it. Some people just don't qualify, or they don't qualify qualify well. I'm one of them people that don't qualify well. I just cannot hook it up. But as the race goes on, you get more and more comfortable. He's hitting braking points now. The car's rotating nicely. It's not sliding as much as it looked like with some of the other drivers would do. And he looks like he's generally got it under control. You know, you can see he's consistent with it. There isn't any real bad shaking as some of them have been going into the corners. And as that goes on, it's going to continue and continue and continue, and he's going to get more and more comfortable. And I think that's just one of the things that happens as the race goes on. You know where you can brake now. You've got your braking markers, and that's what Ollie Day is doing. He's just being consistent with it. I am a little bit concerned that coming out of South Bank, he pulls in nearly half a second on Corby, and then Corby just hurtles away down Pilgrim's Drop, and he goes out to 5.2 again. So it's going to be, for days, got to try and find some way over them first couple of sectors to close in on Corby and give him a little bit of grief and make him, you know, think about the fact that the gap's coming down. One of the other gaps that was coming down was Giuseppe Pastore over Michael Stoyer, so that was also closing in as well for Giuseppe. So Giuseppe's another one that seems to be getting more and more comfortable in the car.
And there's a look at a new best time for a day, a 25.4. So we will continue to see best laps going on as we lower and burn the fuel load, but that's a pretty instructive time there from Day to show us that, yep, we are certainly going to see a race for the win here. It's not Corby's runaway race by any means from the looks of what we're seeing at the moment. So the battle for 5th place, a more engaging one at the moment. Giuseppe Pastore showing some good speed here, because remember, early on in the race, on lap 2, he was the first driver from the top few positions anyway to go off the road and have to recover himself back onto the road again. Didn't have any contact with the wall or anything, but it was still an off-track excursion which he had to recover from, and now he's right back on the back of this battle for 5th place between Ogle and Stoy, and well, now we're going to see again. Is it going to be about the driver behind putting the pressure on for a mistake in front, or is it going to be an on-track overtake for the first time today? Very, very close in towards turn 1, by the way. There was so nearly contact between the two, but Pastore makes his way through, and he really is on a charge hit. Fancies a podium. He probably needs to get on with this, but even a top 5 I think he'll be very pleased with if he can get one by the end of the day. Pastore is beginning to motor now in that number 09, so he's going well, and now on the back of Bogle, the number 69 Ferrari, despite the fact it's bright yellow. There's a Ferrari. So
there's nothing wrong with the yellow.
Yellow Ferrari, though, you know.
Yeah, I can see where you're going. I can see where you're going, but you know, I like yellow.
You know, it's not a hatred of the colour yellow. Just it's not a Ferrari.
Are you saying a Ferrari is traditionally red, so therefore you're being a colourist?
Martino, by the way, she's got Fraud Gerber for 8th place, and I believe that was an on-track overtake too. Actually, yeah, it will have been down the hill there through Pilgrim's Drop, and that will have been very good from Martino on Gerber. Not sure if Gerber's had any issues here to drop more than 20 seconds off the top 7, but there's a noticeable gap, isn't there, between the top 7 and the rest. And from Gerber back to Scherkamp, we've already got 41 seconds. I mean, we're going to have some cars many laps off the back of the field, discounting Becker, of course, who unfortunately blew his engine at the start of the day. But the rest of them, I reckon we could see a couple of drivers towards the back finishing 3 or 4 laps down here.
Yeah, I've got a funny feeling as well. I do love the look of that Porsche 908 03 that Gerber's got hold of. it reminds me of a spec racer Ford, and I've driven that, and that is just completely uncontrollable at times. It doesn't do a lot because there's not a lot on it. And for Ralph Gerber, that just looks like what he's got his hands on, and it's really, it's almost like a skateboard with just with a driver's seat cut in it. You know what I mean, for Ralph Gerber. So, but look, I'm sure he loves the car, and I'm sure he's doing really well in it. Pistori is also doing really well. He's closed the gap to Bogle by half a second.
Yeah, he is riding really well now. It's kind of similar to, I think we're seeing that with quite a few drivers, just after qualifying where they maybe didn't feel very comfortable, put a bit more fuel in, get a bit more settled, and all of a sudden you're finding some guys with some confidence here. As we approach the 1/4 mark already of this race, it's flying by at Brands Hatch. It's such a short circuit. You're ripping round here like you're going round in circles on a hamster wheel. Here goes Giuseppe Pastore, and he is doing exactly the same thing as he did to Stoyan to turn number 1. He takes the inside line, and when you're on the outside like that, it's first of all a pretty heads-up corner anyway, but second of all, you're just never going to hang yourself around the outside there and hold on to the place. So Matthias Bergel has to give that one up to Giuseppe Pastore, who's beginning to fly now up to 5th place, and he can see his next rivals up the road as well.
Yeah, Thomas Rosa's going to be under, under the cosh very, very shortly if Pistori just keeps closing and motoring as he is at the moment. I will say Corby is absolutely... Whoa!
Oh no, he's not flying! Oh dear, he was nearly flying into the wall there. That's right at the top of the hill at Dingledale. And I'm afraid that could really slash his margin to Oliver Day, who's not yet gone round that corner, so hasn't quite seen the time gap gain. Now he will do. It's not really changed, to be honest. Still 9 seconds.
Yeah, well, it was 10.1, so give or take.
Okay.
We'll let him have that second. Come on, you've got to give him something, right? You know, he must have made up time, and Corby didn't just go and fast track that as well. Let's have a look and see what happened to Corby. And see how he did it. He just obviously looks like he's gone. Oh, where are we? Hold on.
We get the
okay.
replay up. Here we go. That's
there we go.
Here we go. This is on the run up towards Dingledale. Such a difficult corner, and crash on the way in.
Yeah.
So that's the most common way you'll see anybody go off there. And he actually, because of the speed up there, he does a good job to keep it out the wall, and an even better job to only lose a second, because that could have been a big time loss.
Yeah, absolutely. He could have been in the wall. Let's be real, and that would have been a massive time loss. Yeah, easily in the wall. So Matthias Bogle and Stoya now. Pistori's making a run at the front. He closed the gap down to Rosser at the moment, and it's still coming down. So Thomas Rosa needs to be a little bit on it, a little bit sharpish here, because Pistori is coming out at an absolute rate of knots. Risto is now looking strong, but let's see if he keeps his pace the whole race. In Monza, he started to struggle with oversteer. And then Ralph Becker, guys, you're doing really good moderation. I think that's a compliment.
I wonder, actually, we were talking earlier on, Ralph won't have heard this, but I wonder if he has any insider knowledge as to which layout of Spa they'll be doing.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah.
So if you know, Ralph, then please let us know. Because we're very excited. Already. I know we're focusing on this round at Brands Hatch, but we're getting excited about the next round already. So if you let us know, then that'd be great. Meanwhile, on board with Michael Stoic here over the line again. We've got lap traffic involved now for the first time. I think this is Hausel here in the 05, just up in front of them. Entirely sure though. Yes, it is. Just running out of the way, and Stoyer's looking up the inside. Bogle defends from him just on the downshift there on the top of the hill. The car just got a bit unsettled. That is sometimes a problem. Sometimes in these older cars it is easier to just leave it in a higher gear and let it power itself out. There is a bit more torque down on a lower rev range than there is in cars these days, and if you do just leave it in high gear, so don't be fooled if you see the drivers leaving the cars in a slightly higher gear than normal. You can see it on the rev range down below. I mean, not uncommon to see them using 4,000 RPM, 5,000 RPM out of the corner just to help with traction.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm going to give you the run. Hopefully we'll be able to get up on the lap data of the driver as well, and you can see on the bottom right hand corner of your screen just obviously what they're looking at. It's nearly 6,500, 7,500 revs here in these beast of a machine, and I think I tried driving one, and I'll say that in a big picture soul, Mr. O'Leary. It didn't quite go as well as I thought it might have done.
What do you mean? What did you do?
I terminated it in the barrier.
Okay.
And that, mind you, was round turn 1. And in going down through Westfield and Dingledale, let's just say I didn't quite make it through Dingledale in one piece. Very, very difficult. Yeah, I was awful.
Oh my word, what a big save that was for Bogle as he got it all wrong out of turn 3. Story gets down the inside, and that's capitalising on an error for you once again. It's what we were mentioning about traction earlier on. It's so important to get the traction down in these cars and do whatever you can to keep the traction underneath you, but Bogle couldn't quite do it there. Now he's going back down the inside, maybe just after Pilgrim's drop. He can't quite do it, so the plot thickens here in this battle for 6th place. Pastorius left them, but these two are now reversed in positions. They do seem, though, pretty similar on speed.
Yeah, they definitely do, and I do love Bogle's car. I don't know if it's just the look of the car, but it just looks like a beast. It reminds me of that Ford GT40 bodywork on it. It just looks absolutely amazing, and I think it just, I don't know, it just gives me goosebumps.
He's the only one in the field using that bodywork. By the way, I've found my favourite. I've been looking up and down the list myself of different cars, and of course looking on the actual screen, which is showing some of them. But unfortunately, my favourite isn't actually here. That was close. Bogle on the way towards turn 2. That was quite close. Yeah, Tom Lane's Shadow DN4 is my favourite looking of the cars. It's maybe his livery helps. It's completely black livery, makes it look very stealthy, very cool. Unfortunately, he's not here and hasn't been since the opening round. So hopefully Tom Lane can get back at some point and show off that car again. But yeah, that's my favourite looking of the cars to us. It's absolutely brilliant. But there aren't many bad ones, are there, on this field? It's absolutely fantastic. So many weird and wonderful ones as well. They all look very different in so many different ways as well.
Oh, Bogle, he closed in. Stoyer's got one as well. Look at the exhaust pipe sticking out the back. That must have been a racket as well. If this, driving around with this on the end, with all that power going through that would be absolutely insane. There probably some great big earmuffs needed for the guys in that car, and Michael Stoyer has got them exhaust pipes sticking out the back of him as well. But I think this battle is going to keep raging and raging and raging on. We've got, 33 laps remaining, so we've only been lap 17 here. Oh, steady Bogle, steady. Bogle's having a good old go. He's driving the wheels off that machine.
Yeah, he is. And that's exactly what we like to see. That's exactly what we're here for. That's what these cars are for. Driving them to the absolute limit. Up towards turn 2 again. It just looked pretty racy on the way towards turn 2, doesn't it? Last lap you mentioned it and we saw it on the screen. He was very, very impressive on the way towards turn 2, but he has struggled out of turn 3. He did a couple of laps ago anyway when he lost that place to Stoy, but it's remained right there. And as I said, he's going at the inside. Oh dear, that was opportunistic. And a bit of a small gap to go down for Matthias Bogle. He was probably a bit ambitious on the inside there because Stoy was obviously going for that wide entry and a late apex for the run onto the longest straight on this circuit. But Bogle saw an opportunity and has actually sent himself into the grass and given himself some work to do, and there's even more work to do now. The gap goes to over 3 seconds, now nearly 4 seconds.
Yeah, we'll have a look back at that. I've got a funny feeling Schwebser's also been round, so we'll have a look at Bogle and then we'll have a look at Schwebser. So this is
into turn 4. It's just opportunistic, isn't it? And there wasn't a gap there, really.
Yeah. Schwebser's Dingledale.
I think from looking... Oh, dear!
Jesus!
Oh, God, he was moving around a bit there, and that was Rosa who had to go off the road, I think, to avoid him. Did a good job in the end of not causing a bigger crash than what we could have seen there. But listening to the engine note there of Andy Schwebser, I have a feeling that... Oh, it's Rosa's off the road now. And Pastore is on the podium. Rosa complete...
He's blown
his engine! Second engine gone of the day, not even halfway into this race. I'm afraid Thomas Rosser's Porsche at 936 has blown up and gone up in smoke. From third place, a podium position, the fourth place driver in the championship is going to suffer his first DNF of the season.
Yeah, it just went poof by the looks of it, didn't it? Let's have a look. Oh no, it literally,
way down the hill.
yeah, just went poof.
Pulls it off the road, smartly finds a Marshall's gap in the barriers and pulls the car safely out of the way. But that's a real shame for Thomas Rosser, who was running really well and was on a podium position there before the engine blew. The reason why I love this kind of racing so much, I know that car numbers are slightly less than maybe what you get in a standard, as I say, modern day GT3 championship, which they're everywhere in sim racing. This is unique, and the reason why this will keep you on the edge of your seat right to the very end is not least because of the difficulty of actually driving one of these cars lap after lap after lap. These guys pounding around for 50 laps is a bit of a challenge in itself. But the even bigger thing in my mind is the fact that reliability is so much worse than it is today. Now, obviously, that's a testament to the improvement of technology and a real thing that engineers and technicians around the world can pat themselves on the back for. But what it does alleviate is this kind of drama, where you just can't quite breathe until you've crossed the line, because you don't quite know on any given day if your engine's going to make it.
Exactly. You literally hit the nail on the head, 100%. You're driving in that car, you think you're comfortable, and then all of a sudden, poof, it just goes. And it's what made it back then, you know, apart from the fact that the cars were an absolute blistering handful and they had more power than they actually probably needed or even probably wanted. But it's just the reliability of them, you know, what's going to happen to them? Are you going to make sure you can make it through? You know, look at Le Mans at that period of time. Half the field probably wouldn't have finished, and some of them were probably a good few laps down, because you just never knew what was going to happen. And I think this is why this is so challenging, to make sure that you're paying attention to what's going on within the car, listening out for anything if you can hear it. You know, I'm sure Thomas Rosser wouldn't have been able to hear anything. He just went bang on him, to be blatantly honest. But, you know, you've got to try and sort of maybe settle down a little bit. You have got 50 laps, you've still got 30 to go. You want to get the car to the end. So maybe instead of going, you know, second, take it a little bit higher and go up into third to make sure you get around the corners properly.
And by the way, if either Ralph Becker or Thomas Rosser are listening at the moment and if you want to come in for an interview, then you're more than welcome. But I understand if you don't want to, because you should still be out there racing after all. One more thing on that, by the way, you mentioned Le Mans. Did you see the statistic about how many cars the most amount of cars that finished on the lead lap of Le Mans prior to this year, which is out of the ordinary, but prior to this year, do you know how many the record was?
No.
Just two. Just 2 cars maximum had ever finished on the lead lap at Le Mans, even in the modern era. So that just shows you that actually the era of reliability is actually quite a new era, first of all, but also second of all that, traditionally there is big gaps at the finish of Le Mans and other 24-hour races as well that don't have cautions. I'm thinking about ones like, well, I guess Le Mans is the great sort of equaliser of that, because the other big 24-hour races, or 2 of them, Daytona and Spa, always have loads of safety cars, which helps keep people on the lead lap a lot longer than they otherwise would be. And the Nürburgring is such a long lap that falling off the lead lap is actually quite difficult to do if you're in a fast car, so it's not quite as good a marker as Le Mans is, which I know is quite long, but even so, it shows you that reliability is a relatively new thing, and we can't forget that, but it certainly was a different time back in this era, and why I really enjoyed going back to watch older races like that. You just do not know when you're going to see something like that. It's unfortunate for the drivers involved, so unfortunate for Thomas Rosser, especially on this race, and I guess Becker as well, who didn't even get to race. But it's a product of the time, and it makes this race very, very interesting, and one that you won't be able to turn away from until the end here.
Go on, Bogle. He's closed right up on him. is closing all the way in as Matthias Bogle. Bruno Chicon is there as well. I lose the race start. Well, I saw you ask for the password, but then I gave it to you, and then you don't seem to join. So I don't know if you missed me giving you the password for it as well. Tyler Morales is off. Thank you very much for watching. It's exciting to see me drive and commentate an Xfinity race on Thursday, so that should be an interesting one for us there.
Are you doing that?
Yes.
Right. I'm going to get the idea for that one.
Well, a young gentleman by the name of Cameron Kane. Basically, the last time I raced and commentated in that specific league, TBB, he wanted to say hello, so he hit the back of my car to say hello, and he spun me on the pace lap. So I said, I owed him one. So I've put my looking at possibly Thursday to give the man a little receipt, should we say?
Exercise your revenge, yes. Matthias Bogle closes in then, and this is getting an interesting battle now between two drivers. I think these two are the best matched drivers in the field, actually. Oh, Bogle though keeps making errors. He's made a couple now, both through turn 4 in the last few laps. So just as he's done the hard work to catch up to Stoy, he makes that mistake. And at the moment, Stoy is not cracking under the pressure at all. He's staying very steady, actually, and doing the opposite of cracking under pressure, which is, I don't really know what that is, but it's he's doing well under it at the moment and keeping that 5th position. This is a good battle between these two, but Bogle just needs to get back to the driving he was doing a few moments ago, where he was comfortable in the groove, as it were, in sort of a rhythm, and at the moment he just fell out of that a little bit with a couple of mistakes at turn 4.
Yeah, it's weird because he made a mistake, closed back up, made a mistake, coming back again. You know, it's a rinse and repeat at the moment, isn't it, for Bogle? He's clearly got some pace, and him and Stoyer are so close together, but Stoyer's just being a little bit more consistent. So Bogle maybe might want to settle down just a tad and give himself, you know, a better opportunity there, because he is quick, and it shows that he is quick. And, you know, I'm sure he'll clear Stoyer and probably get on his way, but he's just got to be a little bit more patient and consistent with making them overtakes.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not an easy thing to do, of course, but we'll have to give it a go here as they approach half distance now. 25 laps complete here at Brands Hatch. This is a slightly older version of this circuit, and see that with the advertising around the place, but it has the same character. It's a testament again to how it's been retained throughout the years, actually, in the real world. And it's providing a great race for us at the moment. Just less than a second between Stoy and Bogle here for 5th place. And Pastore at the moment is catching Oliver Day for 2nd as well. What a race Giuseppe Pastore is having, especially compared to his qualifying, which was not bad, but he's nowhere near what he's showing at the moment.
Yeah, he's definitely got some pace on him, Pastore, and it is coming down at a rapid rate of knots. So Oliver Day is going to have to be a little bit careful here, because at the same time he's going to be under... that Hislett again, yeah. I think that might be Ewan Camp actually off the battle, but Pastore is just blistering, and you know, he's done so well that he's just absolutely flying along. So I'm interested in watching the gap. The gap's 2.9 now, so he's definitely making inroads on Holiday, and Oliver's going to have to be a little bit careful, as we still see Bogle and Stoyer battling not very far apart from each other either. But I suppose in a hindsight here, Mr. O'Leary, we should touch on one Mr. Risto Corpi, who apart from one moment at Dingle Dell, well, he's just been on a Sunday drive, hasn't he?
Doing well, yeah. He's just in a rhythm here, and it seems very difficult to break him out of it. And there you go, another new best lap. He was caught by Oliver Day for a little bit when Day really brought those times down into the 24s for the first time, but Corpi was able to respond in the next couple of laps, and he is now motoring, looking for an important race win here that will close the championship margin as things stand to just 3 points. Although if Pastore were to get through, that would tie the championship between Corpi and Day. If you're interested, by the way, Giuseppe Pastore is not involved in the championship fight at all. In fact, this is his season debut, and so he won't feature in the championship overall, but on this showing he could have done had he been at all the rounds.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think if Giuseppe had made it for every single round, I think he could have been right up there, pressurising these guys. Again, he might have just been another man that doesn't like qualifying or can't qualify. There's a lot of us out there that get qualifying completely wrong. So, you know, he may be another man. And obviously we've got Gerber and Martino closing in on Bogle, who's trying to close in on Stoyer. It looks like possibly Bogle may have... No, he hasn't made another issue. That is not Bogle in front of Vito Martino. Then that is looking like another possible back marker. But Gerber's closing in, but Bogle, well, he's just all over the back here, isn't he? Let's be real about it.
Yeah, there's cars many laps down, or going to be many laps down here, by the way, so just to explain some of the intervals that are going on down there. Schuerkamp and Tosil, I think, are already 2 laps down on the leader. They're both 1 lap down on Gerber in 8th place, so they're very much resigned to 9th and 10th here. Martino and Gerber, though, are also about to be lapped by these two. They're not too far away from actually achieving that, maybe 20 seconds or so, yeah, something like that. So, sorry, not these two. Yeah, it is these two, apologies. So they'll be put laps down on those who they're trying to catch up to as well. So Martino and Gerber effectively soon are going to have 1 lap to the group behind them and 1 lap to the group ahead of them, which is going to be a little bit demoralising. But again, it shows that we do very much have a top 6 and then the rest of the field in terms of pace, what we're seeing at the moment. Rosser, of course, was involved in what we had as a top 7 earlier on in the race, but unfortunately his engine failure has put him down to 11th and he'll score no points from today's race.
Yeah, a bit of a shame. He was absolutely flying. But again, the unpredictability we have seen is what is going on, and this is going to get very, very feisty. Is that Vito Martino's in behind that, is it? Yeah, it is. So it was Giuseppe Pastore in front of him here, the number 9 machine. And just up the road, just there at the bottom of your screen, is one Mr. Oliver Day. So this battle is a looming and is coming and going to be going off very, very shortly here, Mr. O'Leary. Looming.
Oh, looming, right, yeah, sorry. I thought you put an I in front of looming. What does that mean?
No, that's illumi, isn't it? Like Illuminati, or you know, if you want to really mix it up, you can have a silent H. Yeah, silent H, and you know, you can have halloumi. I don't know.
Yes, you can.
Oh, Giuseppe! Oh, nearly spun the car up there.
Yeah, a little bit. It always seems on these downshifts. I said it earlier on, but especially in these older cars, you do get it with some cars these days as well. If you've ever been on iRacing and done the Formula V, don't downshift in that car. Oh dear, and speaking of on the downshift and on the deceleration, Giuseppe Pastore gets it wrong in towards turn 4. Over the grass he goes, and a lot of his hard work's been undone there. There's only 23 laps to go, and I say that only because it sounds like a long way, but when you're Pastore here and you've got a big job to catch up to the car ahead, then you need every lap you can, and at the moment he's making mistake after mistake. That might well have set you up the battle for second place here.
Giuseppe. Let's have a look. Did he just overcook it going in? Yep.
Broke too late, didn't he? A tiny bit too late. It wasn't it wasn't very late, but it was too late. I'm afraid that's 7 seconds now, so 23 laps to go as things stand. On average, he needs about 3-4 tenths a lap. Now, actually, that doesn't sound like a lot, so he does still have time on his side. However, he can't afford to do something like that again.
No, he's got to be getting that closed up, right? And he's got to make sure that he can now... Giuseppe! Hey, Giuseppe! Come on! He's done so well. Don't throw it away by doing something silly.
Remsen might have an engine failure here, or at least a problem, because the driver, he's still got an engine, but I'm afraid he's gone off the road. Yeah, he was previously running second in this race, of course, but I'm afraid to say he has had issues since then. He's now down to 6th. Dear.
On the straight.
He tried to lap someone, and he got it wrong on the straight.
Stay.
He needs to be careful. Yeah, well,
okay, fair play.
thankfully, but yeah, I don't think the lap car really did anything wrong there, just pulling to the inside. Tremser went to the outside to try and overtake. I think it's Showcamp who was trying to get out of the way in the blue car, and Tremser just got in the grass slightly, and that's what happens around that final corner.
Yeah, it's just one of the things. You know, he took it out too wide. The cars don't do well on grass. We've seen that, and we're going to see it again. And he's just now trying to push and push. Get rid of the grass. Get rid of the grass. You are now on literally grass tyres as such. Give it half a lap to try and shift some of it off, because you are just going to be Bambi on ice now.
Sure, I hope tries to get, probably taking getting out of the way a little bit too literally there maybe, but just goes a little bit wide through the penultimate corner. By the way, in terms of my favourite looking cars in this field, I've got to say Harschild gets my vote, as he's doing it again. Tremser there very nearly did it again, and I think Showcamp actually felt a little bit guilty for the first incident, and so this time he got on the grass himself on the inside, so the two of them were actually giving so much room to each other. He probably could have fit two more cars down the middle of them, but they've been very generous to each other, and now Showcamp has given over a position on circuit there for 9th.
Yeah, a lot of niceties going on track at the moment as well, isn't there? A lot of, you know. So, yeah, but that looks really weird from Tremser. Like, why would you run out so far? I know you're trying to carry speed, but you are running out so far here.
He's just worried about hitting the lap car, I suppose, because, you know, you can't quite run these cars as close to each other as you can in others, because they're so uncontrolled. You need that little bit of space to make a small error and make a small correction, because it will happen even on a straight. So giving each other so much space to do that, but you can't drive down the grass either. That's going to be no good, as we've seen from Tremser there. I think Tremser might be the most disappointed person with his race today, actually, because he's one of the only drivers to really considerably drop position compared to his qualifying result. And he showed in the opening laps he does have the pace to run with the likes of Oliver Day in second place, but he's made quite a few errors in the race, and ever since that first error came in, he doesn't seem to have quite returned to the speed that he had at the start.
Yeah, a bit of a shame, really, as well. I think just ruining it's really weird, because it's just one, you know, it's a race and it just kind of happens as you get on, but you've got to think there's lots of multiple factors. You know, the tiredness, fatigue has kicked in as well. The car's getting loose, clearly, as some of these guys are barely managing to hold it on the circuit. So there's a lot involved in all of this, and it's, you know, Giuseppe Pistori is showing us that as well. He's had great pace on the way through. One lap, it's just gone wrong. Bogle's another one, looking like he's setting the pace. He's looking like he's on fire at the moment. And then all of a sudden he gets up to the back of Stoyer and he just can't go anywhere, even though he's 2 tenths quicker than he was last time.
Yeah, it's very tricky indeed. What it has helped is Martino and Gerber to get a bit closer to those ahead, and they stay a lap ahead of maybe where they would be otherwise, but they're showing no signs of getting near the top 6, unfortunately for them. So we return to Stoyer and Bogle. It's quite remarkable how these two have slowly, steadily improved the position they've been fighting for. So with the engine failure of Russia, they were suddenly fighting for 5th, and now with Tremser's spin on the front straight a lap or so ago, they're now fighting for 4th place. So they continue to improve and improve and improve. And now there's some pretty major points on the line between these two, as they're out the way gets Gerber. So he's now a lap down on 6th place, despite only being an 8th.
Yeah. It's incredible, isn't it, when you look at certain things here, because when you have a gap to the leader on the board, you can see Gerber's only a lap down, Martino's a lap down, Harschild 2, Shurkamp's 3. Don't get me wrong, Yuri Shurkamp has had his very bad problems. Generally coming out the final corner, which is really quite bizarre to see, because every time he generally comes out of the final corner, as he goes into the, look there, yeah, exactly, he has that issue, which is very bizarre to see. But Mr. Corbury up front, not so much had that issue.
No. Speaking, by the way, of issues, just had a word through on Discord from Thomas Rutter, who was and is out of the race as a result of an engine failure. On the way out of turn 2, he told us he accidentally downshifted instead of upshifting. So we noted that his engine failure happened while he was accelerating out of the corner. As he was accelerating out of, I think, not sure if they go around second gear or first gear actually around turn 2, but as he was shifting up a gear, he accidentally pressed shift down. And unfortunately, that has blown the engine, because these cars do not have the rev protection, of course, of a modern day machine. And that has pretty much brought the end of Russ's day. Real disappointment for him, because, as I say, he really could have gotten a top 5 at the very least. As Risto Corpy dices with injury there by going into the grass through Dingle Deli tonight, though.
Yeah, he does, but I can tell you one thing, he don't want to keep doing that, me dear, you know what I mean? He wants to kind of make sure that he doesn't keep doing it, because that's not the first time, is it, really? So, yeah, he's going to have to be a little bit smart. I know they've only got 17 laps to go, but I think, yeah, he's still got to be careful, right? Because we've seen what happened to Schroeder going around the last corner, overtaking a back marker.
Absolutely. So, we'll follow Corpy through the opening sector of the lap again. I think very close between Pastore and Day again here. Less than 5 seconds is the margin. 17 laps to go. Pastore is far and away eclipsing my 3/10 a lap requirement that I was making if he wanted second place. He's certainly doing that at the moment, and just wonder if Day is going to be looking over his shoulder again here and worrying a little bit about his second place, or whether he'll be feeling safe and feeling like Pastore might just end up doing the same thing again and making an error.
Yeah, I'd love to see Pastore get up there. I really would, because he's done so well in the car, and he's only three seconds back. Let's not forget. Let's have a look at their last lap times and see where they're at. Pastore was half a second quicker. So half a second, 3 seconds, what's that, 5 laps? 5 laps, 6 laps?
3.5 seconds, probably be 7 or 8, probably. I reckon it'll be in the final 10 laps where we see a move, if we do get one at all. I don't think we're going to see one before lap 40, but ready to be proven wrong, if indeed Pastore can do so. Makes his way out of the penultimate corner. Not a great exit, had to get himself back going again, and lost a very small, minor bit of time today, but he's on the charge here, and he is in with a shout of second. They're all in with a shout of a podium. It's looking pretty safe for them now, those who are on the podium. As long as they stay on the road here for the remainder of this race, they should be okay to finish in those positions. As into the pit lane comes Martino now from 7th as well.
Yeah. Pastore's driving a little bit above the limits of what he needs to, I think. I think that car is one of them cars that's a lot more smoother if you can just treat it nicely. You know, I think if you took it out clubbing, it wouldn't appreciate it as much as if you gave it a Netflix and chill at home. Do you know what I mean? It needs to be a little bit more gentle with it.
Okay.
What?
Really,
Don't you understand it?
Not really in the analogy of a car, no.
Well, yeah, but you get what I mean, right? He's got to be gentle with her. You can't be rough, because it looks like when he's gentle, he gains a lot more pace than he does when he's trying to go full bore on it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's just a case of just the carefulness you have to be with it anyway. Not in terms of like actually being quick, but the carefulness you actually have to just take this car around a lap is quite profound. I feel staying on the road is quite a difficulty. Oh God, that was close. Martino was out the pit lane. I don't think Pastore was expecting that either, because he's gone straight off at turn 1, and then he's straight into the back of the Ferrari. Not sure what Martino came in there for, but he's now 3/4 of a minute behind Gerber, and Hoshilt is now less than a lap behind him, so not really sure what that was all about, but at the pit lane he comes in 8th place.
Yeah, there's a couple that have gone into the pits. Here, Sherkamp's still in, and Martino's obviously come out, but 4.5 seconds. Is he really 4.5 seconds?
I don't think so. I think on that last lap he just hasn't gained anything, really.
Shame, innit? Because he was looking so strong. No, well, he was only 300 slower, mind you, but, you know.
Needs to be gaining rather than
Yeah, definitely.
just not losing.
He needs that half a second that we did see.
Yeah, so it's all well and good holding the margin, but needs to be closing it instead. Looks like Burgle might have been off the road because he's dropped 4.5 seconds, 5 seconds now behind Stoy in the field. Bremser closes in on both of them, so maybe there's still some drama for 4th place, but is it another story, yet another story of Matthias Burgle getting to the back of Stoy and then making an error here?
No, this is it. Dingle down. Oh,
trying on the grass again. Only lucky drivers have we seen at Dingledale today avoid the wall. Unbelievable.
Yeah, but it's again, he's there, he makes a mistake. He's there, he makes a mistake. He's there, he makes a mistake. It's just rinse and repeat for Matthias Bogle. It's such a shame. It's like Pastore. They're driving so well, and they deserve to be higher than what they are. But every time they sort of get within touching distance almost, poof, they go and put it on the grass. It's like, boys. And now he's going to do what Pastore almost did and look like he's overdriving the thing. And I think it's going to be burning up on everything for him. So, yeah, shame for Pastore and obviously Bogle, because they've done the same thing, haven't they? They've got, got close, got it, and it's all just gone wrong. So, there we go.
Meanwhile, Corpy's in from the lead of the race, so important pit stop coming up now for Risto Corpy as he comes to a stop in that number 1 car, the Porsche. Makes its way into pit lane, and there goes through one of the lap cars and lapping itself. There is Oliver Day. So we could have a new race leader for the first time this evening here in round 4 of the Simracers Revival Sports Car Championship from Brands Hatch. It's 12.7 seconds stationary for Corpy. He's back out there again. He's pretty much right behind Oliver Day here, who has only just got into the lead.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm expecting Day's got to come in, right? And we're expecting Pastore's got to come in. So that's going to put Corpy back the other way. They've got 13 laps to go. So I'm suggesting if Risto Corpy's come in, I've got a funny feeling the others have got to come in and around him. So, that technically on track, Corpy will still be the leader.
I mean, I'll bow to your knowledge on that in previous rounds. This race, by the way, will be about 200 kilometres in length. I'm not sure if it was designed that way, but pretty much exactly at 200 kilometres in length, and maybe a few more than that. But yeah, it's around there, and so in terms of time, should be around the 70 to 75 minute mark. However, again, Corpy's been so quick; it could be quicker than that, as we can see. Will Oliver Day though have the chance to defend his lead, or will he just be in the pit lane and lose it anyway? He'll have less fuel on board now, you would have thought, than Corpy. This might make him quicker. Will he respond by coming in? No, he chooses to stay out, and he will take Hassel now out on the circuit, and he does put a lap on the McLaren again.
Yeah, I'm trying to think whether or not there was pit stops in Daytona. I've done so many broadcasts before that last one at Daytona, I physically cannot remember.
It's been 5 weeks, to be fair, but still.
What do you mean, but still? I don't remember that.
I can't say we have memories, because mine's one of the worst in sim racing, I think. So I can't make any comments really about memory. But it's something we're going to find out for sure. 1.7. I mean, it feels like one of those races where Corpy might overtake and win anyway here, to be honest, in terms of Oliver Day. He is in the lead for now, but he's been shown to be a lot slower than Corpy over the course of the race distance. Yeah,
I'm on a little bit of an investigatory mission here. So, Thomas, if you're still in YouTube chat, please check Discord for me, because I've asked a question. Physically, my brain is... I physically cannot remember if there was pit stops in Daytona. Like, I don't even know... Yeah, don't know. On that one, but there we go. It is what it is. I'm a little bit worried about the fact that I've got Bogle showing as an off track.
Okay. And he's lost to... Oh, has he? What's changed here? Corpy has dropped behind Pastore.
Grass. Lots of grass.
Yeah, so this is the replay of Bogle, and he avoids the wall just about, but he's losing further time to Stoy now. He's getting caught by Schremser a little bit here. Now, what's happened to Corpy? Oh, now he's not in the lead. All of a sudden, it's not so easy. It's a perfect 360 recovery, but he loses second place as Giuseppe Pastore powers through.
Yeah, that's going to really mix it up now. No pit stops for fuel today, James, says Thomas. I did some... Was that just tyre-based for Corpy then?
Must have been. But, I mean, he feels under pressure now, clearly, because he's made that error through the penultimate corner where previously he barely looked like he was making any. Well, you've seen him off the track a couple of times, but nothing major.
Yeah, we're having a monologue in the back here as well. Maybe, I don't know, unless Risto was sitting there thinking, well, I'm going to make it close, so I'm going to go in pit stop, which I've never ever heard before. Normally when a driver gets out in front, he's like, no, I'm on my bike, see you later, and tries to run away with it. So, you know, if that's overconfidence by Risto Corpy and he doesn't win this in the end, well, it's going to be a little bit embarrassing.
It is a little bit, rather, but there you go. Schuurkamp, unfortunately, is in the pit lane again here, by the way. Drops to over 7 laps down now, and has returned back to pit lane as we continue to ride on board with Corpy. Can't forget about Giuseppe Pastore here, by the way. He is still catching Oliver Day, so we could have a three-way battle for the race lead here in the final 10 laps.
Yeah, it's something to look forward to, I think, on this one as well. But tyres should also be fine.
Interesting.
But it is close with both. You have to be gentle to the tyres to make them last. So
yeah, so I guess maybe that's why he's been out in the lead so far, is that he's gone for the strategy of I'm going to burn these tyres out and push, whereas Day and the rest are going for the more conservative strategy.
Yeah, maybe. It's just... He didn't look slow even with them tyres, so... I'm not sure why you would burn away 14, 15 seconds.
Yeah,
I don't know.
True. He had a lot to fall back on, didn't he? So even if he was slowing down, so it does make it a bit puzzling. So we go over 10 laps to go now. He could still rescue this, rescuing a victory from the jaws of defeat, if you like, because Corpy has led most of this race, but all of a sudden he's given himself a lot of work to do, especially with that spin as well, because right now either Giuseppe Pastore would have caught him, or he would be on the back of Day and or through, and that is a very different outlook on the situation to what we've got right here. Corpy with a good run through turn 1. He'll have a look up the inside through 2 here, but Pastore won't have any of that. It's going to be tricky now to overtake. We've seen the difficulties so far today. It's not going to get any easier for Corpy.
No, definitely not, and I think that's one of the things he's going to have to try and muster up. This is why I'm so confused why you would throw away a lead as much as what Corpy had, if you didn't need to. Unless, of course... Oh, as he gets that car sideways there. Unless, of course, Corpy knows something more in the car, that the fuel burn of his car, you know, he might think, well, if I burnt this much, then maybe they're struggling, or... I don't really get that way of thinking. If you've definitely not had to go and change, why all of a sudden you would? Unless, of course, as I said, he got bored and wanted to make it a tight race, but this tight race can also cost him the win.
Very much could, and it could cost him a tied-up championship as well, which he was holding at one stage when Day was in third and he was in the lead. Now the roles were reversed though, and we are seeing quite a grandstand finish to this race. 9 to go here at Brands Hatch. It's going to be barely quarter of an hour now from here to the finish, because we've got such a short circuit and a fast and furious finish ahead of us here in round 4 of the Simracers Revival Sports Car Championship from Brands Hatch. It's Oliver Day leading, Giuseppe Pastore in second, and Risto Corpy in third, who's trying to make that second here with a moving towards turn 2. He's been strong in that opening corner lap after lap now, but he can't quite execute a move just yet.
Yeah, he definitely can't. He's got to stay there. We're literally going to have about a second between the front 3 now. We know Pastore's been quick all the way through. We know Oliver Day, probably out the 3 of them, isn't the fastest one out of this group, and that's no detriment to him, but he probably isn't. And Pastore is looking quick. Corpy also is, well, we know Corpy's naturally fast anyway. He was out in front by 14, 15 seconds at one point before he came in and went into the pit stop. So if Day hangs on to this, he has defeated defended his life off, because I can see this being very, very difficult.
Yeah, it's going to be very tricky indeed for everybody to try and hang on here. What a race we are seeing here at Brands Hatch. Quite phenomenal finish, and Oliver Day pretty much pushing, or being pushed I should say, by Pastore there through that penultimate corner. Quite fantastic racing we're seeing between these three, but now becomes the problem for the others. Where do they actually overtake? And Corpy's not going to manage it there by going wide through the final corner. Day has been so solid so far in terms of not making any errors, not going wide anywhere, that this is going to have to be a legitimate on-track overtake, and that is difficult to come by at this circuit.
Yeah, there's not a lot of room. They can defend really quite easily, and literally just park the car in the middle of the circuit. It makes it very, very difficult for either cars to get through. So I'd be... Okay, so the first thing is, if Oliver Day hangs on, I'd be very, very shocked. If Freestone Corpy don't win, then I'm just going to be even more shocked. And the only one I wouldn't be surprised if he did manage to take the win and manage to hold it would be Giuseppe Pastore, because he's driven so well throughout the race. So this is a three-way fight. This is going to be hotter than the Chinese, than an Indian Vindaloo here by the time these guys start getting into the final five.
We have seen close races before in this series in terms of grandstand finishes at the end. Oliver Day hung on to the Brianza victory ahead of Becky Ely by only 1.4 seconds, but we've never seen three drivers yet this season covered by quite such a small amount of time. Oliver Day again is the one trying to defend at the very front, and Corpy's throwing everything at this, throwing caution to the wind, and again goes off the road through the penultimate corner for the second lap in the space of about 10. He is beginning to feel the pressure here, I think, of losing the lead and suddenly having to win it back.
Yeah, I think this could be a natural disaster. I think this honestly could be a natural disaster for Risto Corpy if he has gone into the pits when he clearly hasn't needed to and gone to change the tyres, because he does drive fast, right? So it's possible that them tyres could be smoked up like anything. But if he hasn't needed to do that and he doesn't win this, that's more likely to be the talking point than whether or not Day or Pastore win, because being so far out in front, he didn't need to fuel, he didn't need to change tyres, he had to be nice to them, and he did anyway.
Makes you wonder why he did it, and it makes you wonder whether he thought he could pit and still come out in the lead, because it wasn't that far in terms of the gap. There's the error. Corpy might be able to strike now. Oh, he can't quite do it into Westfield. That was very close, but he has forced the error. He looked up the inside and he's forced the error from Giuseppe Pastore. The second error he's made in the last 20 laps or so as well, which has given Oliver Day another bit of breathing space. But guess who's the common denominator in all of these ones, by the way? Oliver Day has not been off the road yet today, as far as I can remember, and as far as I'm aware as well, he is going to be rock solid for the final 6 laps here too. Oh, that was a bit of an awkward moment with Gerber as well for Risto Corpy. Through will come Giuseppe Pastore with a real head of steam. Over the line, 6 laps to go. Corpy has got limited time to find the lead again.
Out of everything, you are right. Oliver Day, by my reckoning, has been the only one that has not gone off the circuit. He's not gone off the circuit, he's stepped on the circuit all the time. Pastore's now not going to give up either. Him and Corpy are probably relatively matched on pace, and I think at the end of the day, Corpy is going to have a fight on his hands here, and it's going to be a battle and a half of what happened. Obviously, last lap can't really take into consideration, because obviously he was off the track. Pastore best lap 1:23.978 for Corpy, 2 tenths slower. So it's going to be this time around really, and where we see Pastore.
It's exactly what he did to lose the place, because after that Corpy had a look into Westfield, and then there was the error made. Oh, that was a big slide, and now he's really got a gap opening in front of him. It might well be third, and that was be it for Giuseppe Pastore. We'll wait and see. Just to tell you a little bit of the story of the race so far, in case you've not been with us throughout the first 45 laps of this race. It's been Risto Corpy dominating proceedings, I've got to say. He's second place in the championship, trying to chase down Oliver Day. was leading and then pitted with about 15 or 18, 17, somewhere like around there laps to go in the race. Didn't come out in the lead, as I think he might have expected to. Instead came out second. After that, he had a spin while he was chasing Oliver Day. That put him behind Giuseppe Pastore, who also caught Oliver Day. And now that pass you've just seen has given us the situation we have now. Risto Corpi chasing Oliver Day with Giuseppe Pastore in third, looking to pick up the pieces. And only 5 laps to go after all here. Not long at all for Risto Corpi to find his way through. Only about 20 kilometres of this race remains.
Yeah, and he's got nearly 1.5 seconds. Oh, dearie me. It's a good job I don't bite my fingernails. I don't know left about now, because the man that's dominated the race, dominated the first half of it, dominated almost the next quarter of it, and in the final quarter there's something that's unexpected and not needed, and yep, Shurkamp nearly caused a little bit of drama there. Oh, he's gonna go. Oh,
wow.
Pastore's also.
And Pastore.
Oh, did Pastore hold it
in the background?
No,
he's finally hit the wall. We've finally got one in the wall. We've seen everybody get very lucky with that so far today. In staying out the wall, he's got to be careful rejoining. Thankfully, Gerber was aware to that. But goodness me, Giuseppe Pastore has now resigned himself to third place.
Yeah, we'll have a look back and see. Same Dingledale.
Grass.
Held on.
Doesn't hit the wall hard either.
No.
Not a hard hit, so we'll be okay, I think. But that's unbelievable. That's the first time we've really seen anyone in the wall.
And none of them have been Oliver Day.
Yeah, well, yeah. He's not even been off the road as far as I can, I can work out. So this is quite something. As I mentioned earlier on, closest finish so far this season, 1.4 seconds at Brianza. That was in the middle of June, though. That's a long time ago. So this is going to be another close finish. Is it going to be even closer, very possibly here, as Risto Corpi tries to find his way past Oliver Day. The two of them going into battle here with just 3.5 laps to go. There goes Oliver Day off the road. No. We were complimenting him for not making any errors all day long, but finally one comes along. The championship leader goes off the road at left-hand side just after Hawthorns, and I'm afraid that has given Risto Corpi the lead. The first mistake for Oliver Day has been absolutely punished by the one car, which now leads with 3 laps to go.
Oh, if you're ever going to make a mistake, do it at the beginning. Don't do it at the end when you're in the lead. He's driven a point perfect race as Ollie Day. He'd never made a mistake. He hadn't been off the side of the circuit. He'd never had one error the whole 48 laps. And then the one he does make, it costs him absolutely dearly with 2 laps to go. Oh, Ollie Day.
Kim says in YouTube chat that all our chat about it was jinxed. It says I know all that talk with jinx it. It's the eternal argument. But yeah, I mean it's quite astonishing, really. It was a faultless race up until that point. It's not over yet. The thing I'm wondering about this, right, is the tyres again. Corpi, we believe, took tyres when he came in the pit lane, although he wasn't there for very long, in fairness. He was only there for 12 seconds, so maybe he didn't take tyres, but he's got the look to me as if a car that has got new tyres on, whereas Day looks like he is starting to struggle with older tyres, to me.
Yeah, well, Thomas Reusser has confirmed that he did say Corpi must have taken tyres for sure. No, Ollie.
It is, yeah, 2 seconds now. It's not going to be the closest winning margin this season by just a bit, I'm afraid, but yeah, Day is starting to struggle, and maybe showing why Corpi decided to come in, because he thought he was safer out on the track with newer tyres, even if he had to make some overtakes, compared to being out on older tyres trying to hang on. And that's quite a brave call to make, to be honest, because we've seen today overtaking quite difficult round here, track position quite important, so you can just see how much Corpi was thinking about tyre wear as a danger, because he was willing to give up track position for it.
Yeah, I'm still in shock. I really am in shock. And I think, you know, as much as I don't want to believe in commentators cursing, because obviously if you believe how young Padawan by the name of Zach Sweeney. It's commentators coincidence. But poor Ollie Day. All that work. And as you say, maybe Corpy was onto something. Maybe he knew they wouldn't be able to hold the tyres towards the end. I don't know.
I'll say, it's such a brave call to make, though, when you're in a race like this, because track position, as I say, it's so important. So for him to factor tyres above track position, to me, is quite a brave call, but he's made it, and it's absolutely paid off. And I think he's been vindicated in this 5-second gap as well. You could just see at the end there, Day couldn't hang it on the road anymore. And I think even if Day hadn't made that error, Corpy would have overtaken him, actually, because we've seen a 6-second gap open up now, and Day really start to struggle, and Pastore really start to struggle too.
Yeah. Maybe he was the tyre whisperer. Maybe he knew something that we didn't. Maybe he knew they would need time.
Is Pastore out here because he's dropping positions rapidly, and he's finally going again. I think he's been off the road in a pretty big way here.
He has, hold on.
We'll have a look at what
So
happens.
his one.
Dingledell again. It's the grass again.
Was that? No, that was a different one.
Almost identical, but it's not the same replay we were watching earlier on. Just had to find reverse and get himself back on the road again. Does he get hit by Gerber here?
Yes!
That makes the incident a lot longer. No, Gerber was a bit clumsy there, to be honest. I think Gerber was presuming that Pastore was driving a bit quicker than he was on the outside of the circuit there, but he wasn't, and got absolutely walloped. But he should hang on to the podium place. There he is, in third. But going through the final corners is Risto Corpy. I'm sure all of his fans would have been breathing in a very deep breath when he came in for tyres, but it turned out to be the absolute right decision, overtaking Giuseppe Pastore by forcing him into an error and forcing Oliver Day into an error too. Risto Corpy wins round 4 of the Simracers Revival Sports Car Championship here from Brands Hatch with a monstrous tyre call that gave him the comfortability at the end of the race to overtake 2 cars and win in the end by nearly 8 seconds.
Yeah. Day's going to be kicking himself. Pastore's going to be kicking himself as long as he doesn't kick Gerber here, because we've been there already. Yeah, I think there's a couple of drivers out of this. I can think of 3 drivers in this race. We'll sit back and look at today and go, what could have been? Ollie Day could have got the win. Pastore could have got the win. And one other I am going to pick out as well is this man, Mateusz Bogle, because I think if he hadn't made them few mistakes up to the back of Michael Stoyer every time and then made another one and another one and another one, I think he could have been sitting in and around that 4th area. So fair play, but I think, as I say, there's probably them 3 drivers that are going to be looking back at today and thinking, I could have taken more out of that.
So yeah, still 6th place, as Michi Hushel is going to be the final driver to cross the line in the McLaren. My favourite looking car on the grids that we've seen here today. There we go. I'm sure he'll take that accolade with pride at the end of the day.
That's because you said it, Mr. O'Leary. It's because you said it.
Exactly. A couple of points for him. In fact, everyone who's finished the race will score at least 8 points, including Sharkamp, who picks up the final points paying position. Let's run through those race results though at the end of 50 laps of racing, just over 200 kilometres of great action and great finish between Risto Corpy and Oliver Day. It's Corpy who wins though and reduces the championship margin to just 3 points, with Oliver Day finishing in 2nd position for the first time since the opening round at Mosport. Giuseppe Pastore finishes on the podium in what is going to be his debut in the series this season. Michael Stoyer finishes in 4th place ahead of Andrew Schresfer, who drops a few places, in fact drops some of the most places we've seen from anyone here today. Obviously still ties his best result of the season. Mateusz Bogle, as you say, maybe underperformed in terms of his result, but he did have a lot of issues throughout. A couple of laps down were Rolf Gerber and Vito Martino, who were battling throughout a lot of that race. Michi Hushel was 3 laps down. Scherkamp finished 14 laps down after having some fairly long stops towards the end. Thomas Russell had an engine failure in the first half of the race. Ralph Becker had an engine failure on the way to the grid. So that is it for the 50 laps of racing. I mean, a great finish to that one. I've got to say, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Plenty to watch, plenty to look at over the course of the day. Beautiful cars, beautiful sights and sounds, of course, but the racing as well at the end was admirable too.
It was admirable. I want to have a chat with both of them men. I've just pulled out of their room because I think there could be a lot coming out of this at the moment in time. So who would you like to talk to first?
A race winner makes sense, doesn't it? Risto Corpy. We will be joined by him now. Welcome in, Risty. Good to... Risto. Sorry. Welcome in. Good to have you with us. How was that race for you? I mean, it was one where you led for 30 laps or so at the beginning. Then you made a pit stop and had to do some overtaking. Just tell us about what your plan was going into that race once you knew you'd qualified on pole, and then how that plan went throughout the 50 laps.
I looked at the time. The people were saying that you need 120 liters to finish the race. I was like, you know what? What if I put like 70 liters and then I do a pit stop? I was figuring that, I can actually get, if I get enough time on before the pit stop, I should be easily able to get past the people. Because I will have a lighter car, like the Brabham 1982 pit stop strategy. So, light the car, fill it up. It actually took only 15 seconds to fill the car up. So I actually if I would have been a couple seconds faster, I would have actually never lost the lead.
Yeah, it certainly looked like you had a bit of a lighter car, to be honest, at certain stages throughout. I mean, however, if you were to do that race again, would you do that strategy again? Because what it did do is put you in second and eventually third place, and it required you to make a couple of overtakes, which at one stage wasn't looking very likely, actually, for you to make those overtakes and get back to the lead again. So if you were to do this race again, would you do that strategy again?
Yeah, I would just reduce the fuel from 70 to 60 liters, and I would actually be a little bit faster even on that point. So basically, I would take a little bit more time, but the car would be 10 liters lighter, so I could just easily get there. I lost, I think, 10 seconds by going off on that specific corner at least like 3 to 5 times. So if I would have not lost that, I would have had that time. Just my own sloppiness.
Yeah, although in fairness, everyone had their own off-track excursions, as I'm sure you can imagine, at a circuit like Brands Hatch. One final one as well, Risto, on the season. We're pretty much at the halfway mark now, and you've closed the margin on Oliver Day. How are you feeling about the championship overall and the second half of the season coming up?
Well, there should be one dropped score anyway, so that means even if I didn't race that means that he might have one race benefit on that, but that means that I can just count it out. So I'm actually only, if you have to reduce one score from him out of those away, I think. Yeah. So that means that I'm probably still ahead, I think.
I think you are, even with the drop score, from my calculation, you'll be doing the maths on the fly. Do it 3 points behind, even with the drop week out.
It's not too hard. I'll just get past the next race and that's it. I was driving with the wheel like just on now. Turns out there's nothing in the neck that hurts me. So I just switched my pose on the rig and it seemed to work okay for now. So I guess I will drive the wheel. Handful though, the car, I have to say.
Oh yeah, it certainly looked like it. Just before we let you go, Risto, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Oh, it was fun to drive with Oliver on there. And I don't know who was the third person, but the third person, like, if that was a fight on his own. I had to fight to get through that person quite a lot.
Giuseppe Pastore, I think it was. You're referring to that? Yeah, it was.
Yeah. The who we finished third, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic battle between the two of you. Great to watch as well. Thanks very much for providing that entertainment for us, especially towards the end of the race. And thanks for coming to chat to us as well.
Yeah. Okay. Have fun. Send me back into where I came from.
Sorry, pardon. Oh, no, I didn't hear him at the end there, but anyway.
He said, put me back where I came from.
Apologies. We did drag him out, yeah. And now Oliver Day's left as well, so the one he was chatting with.
I was going to talk to both of them, but never mind.
No, we've sort of interrupted their conversation, but there we go. Anyway, that looks like it will be just about it. One final word from us then before we go here this evening. Great first half of the season, and a few less weeks in between races from now until the end. Spa coming up in 2 weeks' time. A couple of weeks after that is Sebring. A couple of weeks after that, Österreichring. A couple of weeks after that is Le Mans at the end of September. That will be the end of our season. So we have got good tracks coming up, and a second half of the season to look forward to, because as I just told Risto there's only 3 points separating himself and Oliver Day.
In the championship, and I expect these guys to fight all the way down. I'm gutted for Ollie Day. I really am. And Giuseppe Pastori. Both of them were doing so well. And both unfortunately made the mistake. Well, Ollie Day made one mistake all race and cost him everything. So there we go. But please, if you are watching this and you do as an admin work within Sim Racing Revival, please put the old style Spa. Please. Thank you very much. Hey, if you don't ask, you don't get. Yeah, if you don't ask, you don't get.
Oh, exactly. Exactly, yeah. No, I'm with you. 14 kilometres, it sounds great fun. But we'll see if it happens indeed when we get to the Spa round of round 5. I know that it'll be live here, of course, as all the rounds will be here on the JPB YouTube channel. So, as I say, less weeks in between races from now until the end, and so that should be a good thing. That's just about it from us, though. Oliver Day is typing the longest message, answering whether he's in the YouTube, whether he's going to be interviewed or not. But anyway, he's just been typing what he would say in an interview anyway. So I don't know why he couldn't come to just say. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. I'm sure we'll have another chance to speak to him at some point. In other words, in this championship, everyone's trying to encourage him to do so, but he seems like the longest typer in the world.
Mate, listen, he might be a one-finger typer. Sorry, he's unplugged the mic.
He's unplugged his mic now, so... Anyway, so there we go. That would just be... unless Giuseppe is ready and waiting.
Hey!
Here we go. Yeah, he's joined us. Giuseppe, welcome in. Good to have you with us.
Hi, guys.
What was a bit of a surprise to see you here. To be honest, we haven't seen you this season too much. Tell us a little bit about this car around this circuit and how you found it tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Thomas, for the invite. It was mega fun. For me, short of practice, but I gave my best, and again, it was mega fun. It was a bit difficult to handle these cars. But I tried to catch the guys in front. I barely did it, but a few mistakes in the end with the rear tires a bit too overheating, and I then spun I think in the last 4 laps 2 times, and then I lost the win. But I am super happy with the podium because I didn't know I could be that fast in the race after such qualifying, and happy.
You seem to get a lot quicker throughout the race, because in qualifying you qualified very much in the midfield, and I thought you might sort of stay there, because generally people did qualify where they finished, with a few exceptions, yourself being one of them. Was it a case of you getting more confidence throughout? Was the car getting better? Were you getting more? Was it effectively you getting more used to the car as you were, as you say, a little bit light on practice? What was it that made you essentially get quicker and quicker throughout the race, whereas everyone else was getting slower and slower naturally as the car went away from them?
Yeah, a bit surprised. I think it was like all of them. I was more comfy in the race. I could practice some braking points. I learned how to handle the car, especially on throttle. You need for upshifting a bit of you have to lift a bit, so you need to get used to it. So I didn't know I could match the pace of the guys in front, because they seemed like super fast again in the quali. And I'm happy for the podium, and I hope to be next time to be here as well, because I got free today, so I was a bit lucky. But let's see in 2 weeks.
We hope to see you here. It'd be fantastic.
Is
there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
I don't know. My family. I don't know, man. I don't know.
You're free to say no.
Greetings to Thomas that invited me here. That showed me such a good community, and I'm eager to review the live. I didn't know it was broadcasted, so I'm like super nervous, and let's see how this life is.
We didn't say anything bad.
Congrats to you, and thanks to Thomas.
Just remember, Giuseppe, whatever we said, it's only at that moment we mean it. Okay?
Yeah, so I learned that, so I'm happy for that.
Okay, bud.
It's fine. We're fine.
We were very nice. I thought we were very nice during that one.
You will see me often, so take...
Okay, yeah.
Well, just send all DMs to Ewan O'Leary, all right? Any problems?
Let's see. Yeah.
Giuseppe, thanks very much for coming to chat to us, interview as well. And
thank you very much,
look
guys.
forward to seeing you next time.
See ya. Thanks.
Take care,
Thank you. Good night. Thanks.
Giuseppe Pastore there, the driver who finishes third tonight in the race. Oliver Day says he'll come chat to us next time, and not this time. So he's instructing us to end our broadcast. So maybe a relief. But hopefully we get away with him in a couple of weeks' time when we're back at Spa. But for now, that is just about it from us. A fantastic race here at Brands Hatch, I've got to say. My first introduction into this series, and I've got to say, thoroughly enjoyable indeed. A close finish between three great drivers, and some beautiful cars having to be navigated around this circuit. Very, very difficult indeed, but everybody coped with it very well. So congratulations to all who got to the end of the race, and hopefully we will have another good race in a couple of weeks' time. Make sure you subscribe to the JPB YouTube channel if you haven't already for lots more rating throughout the week. But for now, from myself, Ewan O'Leary and Jez Parfitt alongside me, until Spa in a couple of weeks' time, it's goodbye for now.